Welcome to my channel. I want to talk about January 6th some more. I know I did a video on it last night, but I'm doing another one because it makes me so angry I can't see straight. But before I do that, I have to thank each and every one of you that has come to my channel, that has subscribed, that has listened and watched my videos, that has liked them and commented on them and shared them. I just can't thank you enough. I don't know how to thank you. I wish I knew some way to get you to understand how thankful I am. But just know that I really do appreciate it. Epoch Times is a publication that's arisen recently, I think in the last few years, I don't know exactly. And they have done a documentary on January 6th. This documentary is almost 2 hours long. I'll put the link in the description so you can watch it yourself. But they have done a lot of the investigative work that Congressman Clay Higgins has done, and they've come to the same conclusion. January 6th was a setup. It was an inside job by corrupt elements inside our Department of Justice. And as you will hear in this clip that I'm going to play, the purpose of it was to defame and destroy the MAGA movement and to put Trump in prison. And they're succeeding, folks. They are succeeding. It's appalling. It's disgusting. As a veteran, it makes me want to vomit. I cannot describe to you the anger that I feel right now, that my own government would conspire to put their own citizens in jail. And I want you to listen to this because this is just a small part of it. You got to watch the whole thing to get the full flavor of what's going on. But I pray to God that in this next year, all of this will come out and people will begin to see that a massive injustice has been done.
Back and stand by Proud Boys in that 2020 debate. They're going to describe that as the rallying call to get the Proud Boys to attack the Capitol, overthrow democracy. So I think that's where they're headed, but that's right. This has always been about Trump, right? Well, it definitely is. It has nothing to do with January 6th, and this is why I think a lot of Americans are tuning it out, because they have not asked the hard questions. Why was the Capitol intentionally unsecure that day? Why did Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, Sergeant at Arms, the people who are responsible for securing the Capitol, not Donald Trump,
Now, did you hear that? You need to think about this, because if you're a partisan on either side of the aisle, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you need to understand that both parties were involved in this, the Republicans and the Democrats. If you think one side is better than the other, you're crazy. You're an absolute fool. I can't understand how you can think like that. We are fighting a war, people. We're fighting a war against evil inside our own country, against treasonous behavior from in our own government. And if you get wrapped up in partisan baloney, you completely miss the forest for the trees. You're not seeing what's going on. Our country is being destroyed from within. I can't. I just can't. I can't.
Capitol Police Board, which included those two men, Paul Irving and Michael Stenger. Why did they repeatedly reject pleas from Stephen Sund, the ex-Capitol Police Chief, for extra help that day? Even as the chaos unfolded on January 6th, they still denied deploying the National Guardsmen, which of course Trump had already offered. In December, I think I said it was a setup. I think now I describe it as an inside job. because it's the same interests who brought us Russiagate and everything since then, who conspired behind the scenes to execute the events of January 6th, and now to reap all of the political benefits that we've seen ever since. 18 months of nonstop fixation, the criminalization of political dissent, and an attempt to finally drive a stake in the heart of the MAGA movement. This stuff does not happen by accident in Washington, D.C. So that's basically how I describe January 6th to anyone who wants to know exactly what the truth is, and that is the truth that I believe.
If the media and if the FBI and the DOJ, in my documents, like the indictment or whatever my charges are, whatever, they make me out to be the aggressor. It's clearly not me, but the officers in that tunnel that were the aggressor. And
this woman was beaten 40 times with a baton. She was punched in the face by police officers. She was dragged through the Capitol building, and they're accusing her of being the aggressor. If there's a God in heaven, this has to stop. It has to stop.
if they can say, take a picture, for instance, a screenshot of video, and say that, oh, look, she's trying to grab onto the shield. I was trying to hold myself up. And if they can say, oh, look, she's hitting an officer, or trying to pull him down, or whatever they said, and yet I'm telling him to stop spraying me in my face. It just stopped. But they want to turn all that, like I'm out to get them, like I'm out to beat the police. In all that beating, all of that, I did not punch an officer. I didn't fight back against the police who abused me. And if they can lie about me, I know for a fact that they can lie about everybody else that was there that day.
Before the smoke of tear gas had cleared the Capitol, the decision was made at the highest levels of government to hunt down everyone who was at the Capitol on January 6. The FBI and the Department of Justice began rounding up suspects the very next day in the most far-flung investigation of its kind.
Many suspects experienced the full SWAT treatment as federal tactical teams in armored vehicles prowled through suburban neighborhoods. Front doors were blown off and flashbangs tossed inside. Family members were greeted with the laser sights of M4 carbines trained on their bodies. Even children were handcuffed as agents sorted out who was who. Some 850 people have been arrested for primarily misdemeanor charges, such
When's the last time you saw the police arrive at a house in SWAT gear, use flashbangs, knock down doors, and train laser sights on people for misdemeanors? Ask yourself that question. This is not what I served for. This is not my country anymore. This is some evil, totalitarian, fascist, bastard, rotten, evil, treacherous, treasonous people that are in our government. That's not why I served in the military. I served in the military so that Americans could be free. And now they're being thrown in prison by their own damn government. I want to scream. I can't say what I really want to do, because I'd probably get arrested. But I'll tell you what, I know I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who the anger is rising inside to the point where it's starting to boil. I'm not the only one who is pissed off that our government could treat our own citizens this way. They let people come across our border into our country, aliens, and they give them free everything, and they ignore the veterans, and they ignore the American citizens. How much longer are we going to put up with this crap before we say, enough is enough?
Is entering and remaining in a restricted building,
God help
and
me.
even parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. Some defendants were denied bail and still sit behind bars. To be charged, even with trespassing, meant being shunned by the community as traitors or insurrectionists. Some were fired for their jobs, based only on allegations. For one of the defendants, Matthew Perna, the pressure was too much. He pled guilty to a felony charge of obstructing Congress, and also misdemeanor charges. For these, he was facing over 20 years in prison, and he decided to end his own life. His aunt, Jerry Perna, said the charges that led to his death were unjustified.
The way they're going after people is absolutely insane. And then on the other hand, on the other side of the coin, you have people committing crimes, blatantly robbing and looting stores in California and places, and they're not even being arrested. You can steal up to $900 and not even be arrested, but you can't walk into the Capitol, the people's house, with police saying, come on in. Nothing about this is normal. I don't put anything past them at this point. I don't. They're out for blood, and they're getting it. They appear to be winning. I believe with Matt and with many other of the J6ers, I believe that this DOJ jumped the gun on these felony charges with many of them. And I believe they just randomly passed these charges out and then decided to look for the evidence. And in Matt's case and so many others, they simply didn't have the evidence. But it was a roller coaster of emotion from that point on, constant. And he was watching the other cases and how they were pleading, comparing his case to their case. Every time he had a hearing, it was delayed. He would gear himself up mentally, prepare himself, and they would delay it. Sometimes they would tell him when it would be, sometimes it was indefinitely delayed. Or it was,
This is not right. This is not America. This is not justice. It's evil.
discovery. They don't have enough, they're still going through the discovery process. And that was mentally exhausting for him. It contributed immensely to Matt's suicide. It did. It was a head game that they were playing with him. They're playing it with the rest of the J6ers. They're playing head games, and it's working. Matt was a very kind-hearted person. He had a smile that would light up a room. He was very thoughtful. He loved talking to people. That was a gift of his. He could sit down with a stranger in a coffee shop and just start having a conversation with them, and he loved learning about their lives and where they were from and how they grew up, especially the elderly. With people, and by the end of the conversation, he had made a new friend. And Matt didn't just make friends casually. He kept these people in his life. He had thousands of friends. Matt wrote beautiful paragraphs on every postcard talking about life and how he was enjoying his surroundings. And he sent probably thousands in his lifetime. There's no getting past this, and there's nothing anybody could say that's gonna make it any better. We miss him so much. And we will forever be heartbroken.
Many of the defendants from January 6 are still awaiting trial, and many have been held in continuous solitary confinement, a form of incarceration deemed by the ACLU as a human rights abuse. Epoch Times reporter and host of Fact.
Do you think the ACLU has taken up any of these cases? Don't make me laugh. They could care less about these people. And yet they admit in their own policy documents that this is abuse. It's a clear violation of our Constitution. It's a clear violation of ethics. It's clearly evil. When will Americans wake up? When will you see the truth? When will you begin to understand the evil that is inside our government and is destroying our country? What's it going to take? Look, I know we all live busy lives. We have lots of things to do. But trust me, you need to take the time to get this understood. You need to watch this documentary. You need to listen to Congressman Clay Higgins. You need to pay attention to what's going on in this country with regard to January 6th, because it is evil. And if you don't understand that, and you just take the media's word for what's going on, then you disgust me. That's the best way I know to put it. You disgust me. I don't want to hear from you.
Matter, Roman Balmakov, spoke with January 6 prisoner Jake Lang over the phone to learn about their conditions.
I'm in solitary confinement over here. So in D.C. and in Alexandria, I've been in solitary confinement. Right now I'm in administrative segregation, it's called, and they won't let me go to general population because they want to torture me into trying to take some kind of decade-long plea deal. 108 months is the most recent plea deal I was offered. A decade in prison for saving lives and defending the Constitution. It's cruel and unusual punishment, and it's specifically because they want to send a signal out to the rest of the Americans. If you ever dare to stand for your Constitution and for your civil liberties, that we will call you domestic terrorists, we'll drag you away from your home and your family and your community, we will put you in deplorable conditions, torture you into ridiculous plea deals, and meanwhile drag your name through the mud throughout all mainstream media and call you white supremacist and all these domestic terrorists and violent insurrectionists and all this ridiculous nonsense. They're using us to pre-punish us before trial and to send a signal out to the American people that any resistance that you have to tyranny will be treated as I'm being treated right now. And so that's why I believe that they're torturing us, January 6ers.
If that doesn't make you angry, you're sick in the head. If that doesn't make you mourn for our country, there's something wrong with you. If you're willing to accept this because they're on the other side of the political aisle from you, then you are sick. You are twisted. You disgust me. I don't really care for Donald Trump. I really don't. Yeah, I voted for him because I wouldn't vote for a Democrat if hell was freezing over, because they're trying to destroy the country. And the only choice we had was either him or the other guy. I've never been MAGA. I don't buy MAGA hats. I don't wear MAGA gear. I don't go to MAGA rallies. I don't even understand why people do that. I don't believe a man is going to save America. I believe only God can do that. And I pray on my knees every night that God will save America. But time is getting short. We need a miracle. We need something. Something that only God can give us. God help America. God help America. God help our freedom. Only God can. Now, despite all of this, I know in my heart of hearts that God will take care of me and mine. And I pray that He'll do the same for you. I pray that He will keep you living in abundance. I pray that He will give you long life and health. And I pray that He will keep you safe from harm. And I pray that He'll do the same for every person you love. And I pray that you will be anxious for nothing. Just don't be anxious. God will take care of you. God will cover you. Doesn't matter what happens in the world. The world collapses. God will still take care of you. Make your requests known to God through prayer and supplication. With thanksgiving. Always be thankful. And know that the peace of God that passes all understanding will keep your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. This is the Vietnam era vet warning you. Our country is falling. You need to stand up. You need to pray. You need to ask for God's intervention. You need to get on your knees and beg God to save America. This is the Vietnam era vet out.